Most adults, we get to 40, 50, 60, and our hips are not in an ideal situation. When we think of hip mobility, or we say, I feel like I need better mobility, I need to improve the mobility of my hips, normally what first came to mind and what most people try is stretching, okay? Thinking, okay, my hips are tight, they feel restricted, they feel tight. I wake up in the morning, my hips are tight, so it's very common, it's normal to think of stretching the muscles around the hips. So in today's video, my goal is to present to you one drill that is really good to improve hip mobility that is not stretching. So the idea behind this is that when we talk about mobility, people sometimes refer to mobility as the same of flexibility. And I want to explain that mobility is the bigger picture than just flexibility. So think of mobility more as movement. Okay? We need the joint, each of our joints, to be able to move well, like they are supposed to move. When things go a little bit off, then the mobility of the movement of those joints are not that efficient, right? They're not moving as they should move. So that's when mobility training comes in. So stretching is one part of mobility where we try to create a little more length in the muscles. We try to, it's mostly create length, but that's not enough. That's why sometimes we stretch and we stretch and we stretch, and the next day we're in the same position and it's never ending. Many times what is missing is the other components of mobility, and those are control, stability, and strength. If we don't have those, then mobility is not ideal. It's not great movement because, we may have enough flexibility, enough range of motion, and this happens often, but if we don't have the stability, the control, and the strength, that joint is not going to be able to move as it's supposed to move. So today I'm going to show you one drill. The first one is standing. We're going to get in this stagger stand position. We're not moving at the feet, and we're going to practice moving the pelvis on top of that leg that is in front. So we go in one direction, so we go toward the forward leg. That's more internal rotation of the hip. And then when we rotate to the other side, that's more external rotation. I'm trying not to move the feet, and we are starting to reconnect to that movement. Part of the mobility is, can I move those joints? Okay. Now in this case, because we're doing with the feet on the floor, it's a more integrated way to train mobility, right? Because it's not just moving the hips on its own, because most of the time when we move our hips are in relationship with our feet and the floor. So it's very important to restore that and learn to move the different joints when we are in the standing position and in natural movement, like can be walking and running. So that is to start restoring the awareness and the connection to the movement of the pelvis over the bone of the leg or femur. Okay. Now the same drill, and you can start practicing by that. Do one leg, do the other leg, and it may be already pretty challenging to understand the movement at the beginning, especially if you focus on not moving the feet, just moving the pelvis on top of those legs. Now we can take that same drill to a little bit harder version, or a version that is a progression, that is using a wall or using any object to give us balance, so we don't need to fight with balance so much, but doing that same movement of moving the pelvis over now only one leg on the floor, internally rotating, externally rotating, just moving the pelvis in both directions. Okay, I'm in a little flexion, so think of a little hip hinge and then rotating the pelvis in one direction toward the forward leg and away of the forward leg. Try that. If the first one is doable, then you can progress to this one. Start small movement and notice the relationship between the pelvis and your foot. You want to make sure that the foot stays grounded, the entire foot on the floor, and then you move from there. And the final one, this is a more advanced of the options, is to do it like that on a single leg, but without the assistance of the wall or any other object. So the movement is the same, but now we're balancing. And then we start realizing how important that stability is. Not just balance, it's how stable I am when I need to move my pelvis in this case. So it's hip mobility because I'm moving still at the hip when I'm on a single leg. This drill is pretty advanced. Start small, practice it once before until you feel like, okay, now I can do this one, okay? But also use it as an assessment. If that is completely off, think that, okay, I need to work on my hip mobility. And this can be for a very flexible person. Most of the time, the more flexible people need to work more on stability control and strength to have really good hip mobility or movement. In this case, we're also integrating with the whole leg the stability from the ground to the hip. So it's the same exercise, same drill with 3 different levels. Just to think about mobility a little bit different, by doing these drills, you are improving your hip mobility. Sometimes we don't have the range that we need because we don't have the stability, the control, and the strength we need. So it goes both ways, for people that have a lot of range and for people that don't have enough range. This, when done with the intention, with attention, and with consistency, is gonna start changing your hip mobility. It's gonna start improving your hip mobility that then is gonna translate to everything that you do in walking, running, playing sports. It's gonna keep that hip in a much better place. And when it is in a better place, then there's less friction and less stress placed on the hip when you move, right? The better the situation, the less stress that the hip is gonna need to be dealing with. Okay, I hope that's clear enough. Let me know if you understand the drills. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know how it goes. This is a really good assessment. Start with both feet on the floor, then lift one, use assistance, something that is safe, and then finally, if you feel like there's chances that you're gonna be able to do it, then do it without the assistance. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, if you learned something about your hip mobility, and I will see you again soon. Thank you.